Overnight, Washington quietly became one of the most expensive places in America to buy a gallon of gas. While the national average hovers near the low threes, drivers here are staring at prices so high they look like premium even on regular. People are pulling up to the pump, checking the total, and then checking their banking app in the same breath. One fill-up now feels like a small rent payment. Every click of the pump feels heavier than the last. This isn't a spike. It's a warning. In this video, we're going to rip the cover off Washington's gas crisis and show you why prices here are exploding while much of the country is breathing easier. You'll see how new climate rules, hidden fees, and stacked gas taxes quietly hardwire higher prices into every single gallon. This is how policy hits your wallet. We'll break down who profits, who pays, and what smart drivers are doing right now to fight back. Stay to the end, because the final twist changes everything about how you drive. What happens when your state finally beats California? But only on gas prices. Washington just vaulted into the top tier of the most expensive fuel in the country, with regular flirting near $5, while the national average coasts comfortably lower. For families who drive every day, that gap isn't a headline, it's a slow bleed. Every commute, every school drop-off, every grocery run now comes with a sting. High gas quietly reshapes your month. Start tracking exactly how much fuel is eating from your budget so you can respond with intention, not surprise. Here's the crazy contrast. While Washington drivers are wincing at the pump, much of the country is actually seeing relief. In other states, prices are drifting down, road trips look doable again, and fill-ups don't feel like mini emergencies. That disconnect makes Washington feel like it's living in a different economy altogether. It's not just gas is expensive, it's gas is expensive here. Local policy matters. Don't compare your situation to national headlines. Compare it to your own pay, your own city, and the states just across your border that pay far less. Imagine every gallon of gas you buy carrying a hidden ticket to a climate auction. That's essentially what Washington's cap-and-trade style system does. Big emitters pay for pollution allowances, and those costs quietly flow down to the pump. Leaders framed it as just a few cents, but drivers feel it as a permanent extra layer baked into the price. You're not just paying for oil, refining, and profit. You're paying for carbon permits, too. Knowledge is leverage. The more you understand what's inside that price, the easier it becomes to decide how you'll adapt. Picture a gas tax with a built-in habit. It quietly raises itself year after year. That's effectively what Washington has created, stacking one of the highest per-gallon tax rates in the country on top of everything else. Even if oil prices stay flat, a ratcheting tax guarantees that your pump price has a built-in upward drift. It doesn't feel brutal in a single month, but over a few years it snowballs into real money stolen from your savings. Don't just watch today's price. Watch how often it nudges higher. Small nudges demand big adjustments. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. With cap and trade fees, aggressive climate targets, and some of the steepest gas taxes around, Washington has basically locked itself into the top 5 most expensive gas club. This isn't a random spike that disappears next summer. It's a structural choice baked into law and policy. That means waiting for prices to go back to normal is like waiting for winter to forget to show up. Instead of hoping the chart magically drops, assume high fuel is the new baseline and plan your money and travel patterns around that reality. Imagine living close enough to a state line that a short drive can drop your fuel price by 50 cents to $1 a gallon. That's the everyday reality for many Washington drivers near Idaho or Oregon. Same car, same gas, totally different total on the receipt just because you crossed an invisible line. Over a year, that difference can mean hundreds of dollars staying in your account instead of vanishing at the pump. If you live near cheaper borders or consistently cheaper areas, run the math. A small detour for lower prices can become a serious annual rebate. Gas doesn't just hurt when you squeeze the handle. It hits you again at the checkout line. Every truck delivering food, packages, building supplies, and medicine is burning the same expensive fuel you are. When diesel and gas spike, shipping contracts adjust, and suddenly that mystery inflation on your receipt isn't such a mystery. Landlords, contractors, and delivery services quietly bake fuel costs into what they charge. You can't escape it completely, but you can blunt it. Buy in bulk, combine errands, and favor businesses close enough to cut delivery and driving time. Distance is money. Now picture this. It's the holidays, the kids are excited, and you're doing math on a napkin just to see if you can afford the drive to see family. That's the emotional damage of high gas. The national news talks about relief at the pump, but Washington drivers are still watching the total spin like a slot machine. A long-distance trip that used to be a no-brainer becomes a guilty conversation. Before the next holiday season hits, decide your travel radius in advance, budget the fuel, and look at cheaper midweek fill-ups or shared rides. Plan early, not in panic. High gas isn't just an economic headache. It's a political nightmare. Every extra dime on the sign turns into a soundbite, a viral rant, or a brutal headline. Climate groups push for tougher rules, drivers demand immediate relief, and businesses quietly threaten to relocate to cheaper states. The governor stands in the middle, trying to defend long-term climate goals while people are rage-posting their receipts on social media. That's panic territory. Remember this: elections follow emotions, not spreadsheets. Use your frustration as fuel to ask better questions, show up, and push for policies that balance climate with survival. If this is giving you clarity on what's really driving Washington's gas prices, pause for a second and hit like. It tells the algorithm this topic matters. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns that actually connect policy to your daily wallet. And share this with someone in Washington who's wondering if they're crazy for feeling broke every time they fill up. You're not crazy. You're just paying for decisions most people never see. Every time your receipt makes you flinch, someone else sees a line of new revenue. Cap and trade auctions bring in money. Gas taxes funnel into big state budgets, and parts of the energy industry profit from complex rules that smaller players can't navigate. The narrative is, we're fighting climate change. But the lived experience is, I can't afford my commute. Both can be true, but one side writes the checks. Follow the money flows. When you understand who wins from high prices, you understand why they rarely vanish. Most drivers never think about pipelines or refineries until a problem hits and prices jump overnight. When a key pipeline goes down or refineries cut capacity, fuel has to move by more expensive routes, often by truck, adding cost to every gallon. Layer that on top of already high taxes and climate fees, and even a temporary hiccup becomes a painful spike. Infrastructure is invisible until it breaks. Pay attention to regional refinery and pipeline news in your area, because those headlines become tomorrow's price on the sign. You've heard the line 100 times. It's just a few cents more per gallon. On paper, that sounds harmless. In real life, those few cents stack on taxes, on climate fees, on supply issues, until Washington is paying dollars more than other states. A small bump times hundreds of gallons a year isn't small anymore. That's a stealth pay cut. Don't let anyone minimize the impact on your household. Track your yearly fuel spend and treat every few cents like what it really is: money leaving your future. Not everyone is just taking it on the chin. Some Washington drivers are turning gas prices into a strategy game. Strict trip planning, carpool rotations, working from home when possible, and using apps to hunt the cheapest stations within a safe radius. Others adjust driving style, smooth acceleration, lower speeds, proper tire pressure to squeeze extra miles out of every tank. None of these tricks is magic alone, but together they compound. Pick 3 fuel-saving habits today and commit to them for 90 days. Let your routine, not the pump, decide your outcome. Blaming everything on global oil is the easiest excuse in the book. If crude were the only factor, Washington wouldn't be painfully high while the national average slides lower. Global prices set the stage, but local taxes, climate policies, refinery capacity, and regional regulations decide your final ticket. One state can sit near the bottom, while another, like Washington, hovers near the top, under the same global market. Don't accept oversimplified answers. When someone shrugs and says, "That's just OPEC," remember, your vote and your state laws shape your real price.